Hey guys, Paulus and Ramos, and this Sunday the Miami Dolphins will be hosting the San Francisco 49ers. Kickoff is at 4:25 p.m. Eastern, and the game will be broadcasted on CBS this December 22nd. A little early Christmas slate right here. But yeah, Miami Dolphins heading into this matchup against the 49ers, and both teams are at the same record, 6-8, but the 49ers still have a chance to possibly win the division if they were to win out and a couple things happen to the Rams and the Seahawks. Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins have a tough road to the playoffs. It's not impossible, but here it is. Miami Dolphins' path to the playoffs is Broncos lose their remaining two games at Cincinnati versus Kansas City. I see that possibly happening. Colts lose at least one, and their next three games are against the Tennessee Titans, New York Giants, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tough. Those are a lot of teams that are pretty much essentially tanking. But the Dolphins fans may be rooting for one of those teams to get a win sometime soon. And then, last but not least, the Dolphins have to absolutely win each of their last three games versus San Francisco, at Cleveland, and at New York Jets. So it's not impossible, but the odds are not on the Dolphins' favor in terms of making the playoffs. In terms of this matchup, though, the odds are in the Dolphins' favor, and let's get into that. This is part of the game preview. The Miami Dolphins head into this matchup as the gambling favorites at -1 on the spread. Not a big, point spread for the Dolphins here, but hey, you'll take it. The Dolphins are favored. Over/under at 44.5, and then over money line is right now is at a pick'em -110 at the time of recording. Let's see if it shifts anywhere. But yeah. Keeping it moving, the ESPN's Match Predictor has the San Francisco 49ers at 55.2% to the Dolphins 44.4%. And then game time weather is looking like 73 degrees, partly cloudy. But it is also, going to be pretty chilly in the morning. So tailgate vlog will be a little bit bundled up early. Let's see how the weather fares for us in terms of that. But yeah. Pretty much laid it out there. Dolphins need to win out. Broncos need to lose both of their games, and the Colts need to lose at least one, which could happen. But the main thing is the main thing, and that is the Miami Dolphins need to win each and every remaining game. All right, guys, let's get into some of these injuries, and the 49ers are pretty banged up. Let's start with Nick Bosa, defensive end, South Florida local. And he's dealing with a hip oblique injury. He is listed as questionable. You also have Dre Greenlaw, linebacker. He is questionable with an Achilles/knee injury. Trent Williams, offensive tackle, is listed as out. Same for Isaac Garendo, running back. He's dealing with a foot and hamstring injury. He's confirmed out for this game. Robert Beal Jr., defensive end, is questionable. And then dating back to about last week, we have Ben Barch, offensive guard, on injured reserve with an ankle injury. And then at the start of this month, we have a couple guys to list off for the 49ers, and that's as far as I'll go with talking about some of their injuries. We have George Odom, safety. He's on injured reserve with a knee injury. George Mason, running back, on injured reserve with an ankle injury. Kevin Givens, defensive tackle, on injured reserve with a pectoral injury. And then last but not least, injured. On injury reserve is Christian McCaffrey, running back. He is dealing with a knee injury. Not the best year for to be a Madden cover athlete. And the 49ers have been banged up pretty much all year, and it's been very, very unfortunate for them, and pretty much showing why they've, haven't had a great year as opposed to what was expected from this team, defending NFC champions, Super Bowl runner-ups. They were expecting to possibly get back to the mountaintop, and it's unfortunate for that 49ers team, their fans, etc. But let's talk about some Dolphin injuries, and we have Jalen Waddle, wide receiver, listed as doubtful. It is a wrist/personal injury. Let's see. He was diagnosed with an injury against the Texans, and now it is also wrist/personal issue. Tyreek Hill, wide receiver, is questionable with a wrist/personal issue. Tyreek's been pretty much dealing with wrist injuries the whole season, and it's probably arguably been one of his worst seasons ever, so not great. Some news on Grant Dubose, wide receiver. He's on injured reserve. He has a head injury, which AKA is his concussion. But things are looking better for him, and he's been a little bit more responsive. So that's good news for Grant Dubose. That was a very scary moment there. Moving on, we have D. Eskridge, wide receiver, doubtful with a knee injury. Kendall Lamb, offensive tackle, is questionable. So is Tron Armstead, offensive tackle. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bradley Chubb confirmed out with a knee injury. Don't think we're going to see any Bradley Chubb. And then in terms of what is going to be happening for this Dolphins team moving forward, there was some news that came out recently that Calais Campbell will be cut should the Dolphins not make the playoffs. Yeah, it hurts to see a guy like Calais Campbell have to go. But I respect what the Dolphins are going to do for him should they miss the playoffs. And that is to give him a chance to go out with a bang, because this is arguably might be Calais Campbell's last season, and he still has a lot of fight in him. So you want him to go somewhere where, not saying the Dolphins don't appreciate him, but somewhere where he's a little bit more appreciated and has a little bit more to give, and his contributions will be a little bit more beneficial. So that is something to see, but it would kill me if you end up seeing him on the Buffalo Bills. It's like, all right, now I don't like you anymore, Calais Campbell. Not to get any personal, but that's just a slap in the face. But it is what it is. I wish him nothing but the best. Former Kane alum, so always got to root for these guys, and even better when they're on the Dolphins. So should that be the case, wishing him the best, and hopefully he goes to the right team. Let's see what team he does decide, should that be the case. But let's keep it moving. Listen, he wasn't listed here on the injury report, but Tua had a documented hip injury this week in practice. He was a full participant, so that's why it wasn't really listed as much. But hey, he took a big hit. I don't know if you guys remember in that Houston Texans game. So maybe it's just something that was lingering from that matchup. But yeah, that's a bit concerning. But got to play the rest of the season unless it is a true I can't play type of vibe. We'll see. But yeah, he wasn't listed here in the injury report, but he is a little bit banged up. All right, let's talk about this matchup. Both teams trending in completely different directions right now. The 49ers have lost four of their last five. Dolphins, on the other hand, have won 3 of their last 5, but suffering a really bad loss to the Houston Texans that pretty much deflated any chances of the Dolphins getting into the playoffs. But they're still air in the balloon somehow. Do I think the Dolphins will make the playoffs? Honestly, no. But, the silly boy in me would always love to see the Miami Dolphins have a chance to make it to the playoffs. And each and every year, it's going to come down to this, and it's more than likely going to break my heart most of the time. Last year was not winning the division against the Buffalo Bills in the final game of the year. The other year was pretty much limping into the playoffs. No Tua. That was even tougher. So, it is what it is. But, wishful thinking, maybe the Dolphins do it. But let's talk about this matchup. Miami Dolphins, they're a bit banged up, but so are the 49ers. They're down to their 4th string running back right now. You have Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, and now Isaac Guerendo out. So no Isaac Guerendo means they're going to have to freaking put in someone in that backfield. The 49ers have had success with almost any running back they put back there this season so far. So the biggest thing is you don't want them to do that. So hopefully the Dolphins are able to, be well and sound on defense and stop any type of running game that San Fran throws at them, and limit any type of rushing attack. But aside from that, going on to the offensive side of the ball, it's protect the football. I know it's a very basic thing to say, but after a 3-interception game, Tua cannot repeat last week's performance. Moving forward, he can't have any crucial turnovers because that's just going to hinder anything the Dolphins want to do. Because You're giving the other team the ball, you're giving away chances of you and your team scoring. Last but not least, got to run the ball. Got to run the freaking ball. I know this Dolphins team hasn't been great at running the ball, and they've been doing these screenplays as an extension of the running game. Just run the freaking ball. Why was HN like barely out there in the field in the second half? Like these are things. I understand you kind of got thinned out at the receiver position with a couple injuries, but that doesn't mean take your best players off the field. And obviously, HN has been arguably the best player on this Dolphins offense all season long. So when you take him off the field, you're taking away a big threat for your team and their ability to make anything happen. Now, if there's an underlying issue that was happening with HN, fine, I understand. But man, it just seems like the decision making has been very bad. And it seems like every time the Dolphins choose to run, they probably should have passed. Every time they choose to pass, they probably should have ran. And then every time they run in the middle, they probably should have ran outside. And every time they ran outside, they probably should have ran in the middle. It's been one of those type of years for this Miami Dolphins team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So they need to be smarter and put their key players out there almost each and every play. It's do or die. If you lose this game, it's all over. So hopefully the Dolphins are able to surmount some type of win and beat this 49ers team who is on their fourth string running back. But somehow somebody, Kyle Shanahan, will have a trick up his sleeve and probably just put Debo back there for the most part of the game, which I know 49ers fans are not a fan of. So let's see what happens. But that pretty much sums up this game preview. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, let's hope for the Dolphins win. Things to go their way. And, stay alive in the playoff race. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's going to be off or not. I think the Dolphins are just going to miss it, just in my opinion. But who knows? Maybe they just went out and things go their way. Just got to be a blind optimist sometimes. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.